Thanks for tapping in with 95 South TV, hosted by Ikon E King Jacob, bringing you the best news and media through the efforts of the community. We interview nonprofit organizations, business owners, school teachers, spiritual leaders, and anybody who has an impact in the community that has a remarkable backstory. These professionals that we bring on this show has a story that will wow you, that will knock your socks off. And with that being said, we want you to tune in, keep it locked. We want you to like, share, follow, and subscribe. Be a dedicated listener. Come in, and if you require to do an interview, you can definitely reach out to us at 95southpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you for your ongoing support.
What's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Ikon E. And once again, we're here on 95 South TV. First and foremost, I want to thank God for this opportunity because without him, there'll be no us. Secondly, I want to introduce my right-hand man, Mr. Jacob the Great. You know what I'm saying? Your baby mama favorite host. What's going on, brother?
Amen, amen, amen. Happy Sunday to all, man. You know, we breathing, we living, so we got another chance to get it right. Let's go.
Yes. Before we get started, I want to say this is sponsored by 810 Studios, Roku channel. It's also sponsored by InspiredRadio.com. Also inspired by also subscribe to 95 South Network. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So go ahead, Jacob, introduce this queen so we can go ahead and get started.
Man, I'm gonna go ahead and give the queen the honor to introduce herself so she can tell the audience exactly who she is. Go ahead, queen.
What's up, y'all? This is Phaedra, and I have a single out called Feelings with a remix with Krayzie Bone as well from Bone Thugs and Harmony.
All right, let's get into it. So, Miss Phaedra, you know, you have done some phenomenal work, remarkable journey throughout your music career. So rewind it back for us a little bit and tell us how your music journey began.
At an early age, coming from a place called Cambridge, Mass., which is a college town known for MIT and Harvard, coming from a biracial background, my parents divorced early when I was young, and music just became my solace. There's no one else in my family that sings, so it's just a God-given talent, which I started off in the church first and foremost. Then I just kind of made a name for myself, so to say, singing at all the political events, the weddings, the funerals, and just participated in anything that I could coming up. The biggest of them all as a teenager was a show called Hollywood Talent Night, which was put together by Maurice Starr, who discovered New Edition and New Kids on the Block. That's how it all began.
Okay. Now, you said something key that most artists don't get when it comes to the political events. And, you know, I always embrace the fact that artists should connect with their local government officials as far as the city councilman and your county councilman and your mayor and people in the legislative office. So how does that particularly help an artist move in the city when they're connected to those political figures?
It was major. I mean, it led me to bigger opportunities to go up to the state house. I mean, I sang the national anthem at a lot of events. If they had a significant parade where they were honoring someone or doing a street dedication to someone, they called. And you're absolutely correct. It is very important to get involved in kind of the local politics, at least having those relationships, because they also help others in terms of just open job opportunities outside of even music. So I was very fortunate to be connected because as a young girl, my first job was actually working at City Hall. And I worked in the clerk's office. I became the assistant to the vice mayor and then the assistant to the mayor. And when he became a state rep, I decided to pack my bags and move to Los Angeles, California. So I just got tired of the politics in that aspect and really wanted to pursue my music career.
Okay. So take us back to the very first single that you recorded.
You mean in terms of when I was younger, when I had music out before Feelings?
Yes.
So Working with Maurice Starr, who discovered New Kids on the Block and New Edition, he basically found me at his home and he put me on New Kids on the Block's first album. I did a duet with them on their very first album. So that afforded me an opportunity to go on the road and to work on various projects that he was working on, whether it was Gene Khan in the mature world or Alfonso Ribeiro, the kid who did the Michael Jackson commercial. I did a song background for him. It was his first record, for those who even know, that he sang, called Not Too Young. And I remember specifically that came out on Valentine's Day. But I was able to do a lot of studio work with him. And from there was a female girl group that was discovered by producer singer Richard Dimples Fields, who happened to be in the city of Boston at WILD looking for background singers. And everyone talked about how amazing they were. And he basically got them signed to RCA. They had some pretty good success with a song called All of Me for All of You. When one of the girls left to sing gospel, I took her place. Maurice Starr then changed the name of the group from 9.9 to Lady Soul. And he signed the group Lady Soul to Hollywood Records. And we got a single song called If My Sister's in Trouble on the Sister Act 1 soundtrack, which went gold. So I was able to get a gold record at that time working with Maurice Starr. That's the very beginning stages in terms of any releases that I had.
Talking about beginning stages, your beginning stages are phenomenal. And to really get a gold record on the Sister Act soundtrack, you know, what was the process of that? And then how much notoriety did you get from being on that placement?
First of all, it was amazing because Whoopi Goldberg was very huge at that time. And we were able to do a USO tour, which was probably one of the funnest experiences I had on the road, performing for all the troops. And we actually went on the road with EU, who had the record Doing the Butt Out at the time. And we went to some amazing places. Also, we were able to shoot a video with Kathy Najimy and the older woman who was in the movie. She was kind of like the grouchy, mean nun. But we had fun on set. That video is also out under the name Lady Soul's If My Sister's in Trouble. And that was a lot of fun. But it did give us a lot of opportunities to do a lot of shows at that time, moving around.
Right, and so that Massachusetts and that DMV connection was major because doing the butt was bigger than life at the time. I remember as a little kid listening to it because most
Yeah.
of my family do live in the DMV. So, what was that experience of being on the road with EU?
Um, it was fun. There was three of us and it was a whole bunch of them because, doing go-go music, they come with a huge band and a horn section. And we just went everywhere. We went to Guantanamo Bay, we went to Bermuda, we went to Panama, we went all over the world, and we were able to travel on all the military helicopters and planes, which was a wonderful experience as well. And just making that connection, and with, I say an extension of having brothers in the music business, it did give us a lot of opportunity. We used to do R&B Live. At that time, Vanessa Williams' husband had this show in LA, and we did that quite often where we would jump on stage and kind of sing background for a lot of people because we were tight as a unit, very similar to Brownstone. We just had the right sound and we were quick with harmonies and that kind of thing. But it was an
Okay, okay, sounds like this was a great experience, amazing experience. So, from the levels of singing and you being a vocalist, you know, let's talk about the importance of songwriting and learning how to songwrite. And so, when did that happen for you?
um later on after I got off the road with a couple of different people, including Najee. For those of you in the jazz world, Najee took me on the road to South Africa, was part of the trip to sing for Nelson Mandela's birthday. And we were on stage with Chaka Khan, Kenny Lattimore, Stevie Wonder was the headliner. And after Najee, I connected with a high school friend of mine who was working with Willie McGinnis, who played for the New England Patriots at the time. He had a production company called 55 Entertainment. And so that afforded me the opportunity to move to Los Angeles, California, to work with some amazing big time producers and really understand how that worked. I basically got tired of waiting on people at times. Sometimes there would be jealousy. And so after kind of learning and watching, I just said, I could do this myself. So I started writing songs all by myself. And Krayzie Bone had a lot to do with that, because when 55 Entertainment, one of the members, Mr. Francis, put the group together and signed Bone Thugs and Harmony to Warner Brothers, it afforded me the opportunity to be in all their sessions most of the time. And I would constantly give ideas to Cray for hooks and ideas, and he loved it. And he just told me, listen, I have a studio in California. When I'm out the studio, you're more than welcome to have the studio for free and, cut some hooks. And if I like them, I'll make some records off of them. And that's really how my relationship came about with Krayzie Bone and how I started writing.
Okay, okay, okay. Appreciate that. I turn over to you.
All right. Well, I got a quick fun fact for y'all. And Jacob, I might have told you this before, but one of my cousin's best friend to this day, she played in The Color Purple, the original one, but she didn't have a speaking role. But if you remember the scene when Whoopi walked into the church when her dad was getting remarried or whatever, getting married, and the young lady turned around, they was up at the altar, and the young lady turned around and looked at the camera. That was her. So if you ever watch Color Purple, remember that her name is Tracy, and whatever that she played in The Color Purple, the original one. But anyway, I wanted to get back. So you started off. You said one of the first people you worked was with Maurice Starr, and we all people that's been around of heard different things about Maurice Starr. For you having that relationship with Maurice Starr, what was I guess you want to say the good, the bad, and the ugly of him?
I was taught if you don't have anything great to say, be careful what you say or don't say anything at all. For me, it was good and bad, but I just tried to look at the good and make the best of the situation. And then I just knew when it was time to walk away. I'm a spiritual person, so I know they say if something doesn't feel right, and if you experience too much negativity or you get bad vibes, then it's time to move on and it's not for you. So I just have to be thankful for whatever came out of that, whatever opportunities came out of that. And what they said, what's done in the dark comes to light. So I just let God handle all of that.
Okay. No, hey, enough said. So when it comes to all the things you've done, you work with amazing people, Stevie Wonder, back then and all up till now with Krayzie Bone. What experiences that have you gotten that you can take away from that really kind of shaped who you are now?
Wow. I mean, all of it really shaped me. At the end of the day, we're born with a mind that's a blank white canvas that's shaped and molded based off of our experiences. That's how we become who we are. And it's taught me that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I was, that I'm a lot more gifted by God than I thought I could ever be, in terms of all the knowledge and things I've experienced to be able to do everything at this point on my own, going in the studio and creating a record from nuts and bolts, from, having nothing but a track to turning that track into a record is something that took years to do. And that was based off of learning how to perform live, learning how to blend and do harmonies with girls, because there are a lot of lead singers that sing, but they don't know how to sing harmony. Or they don't know what blending means and that kind of thing. And it's funny, I had this conversation with Tawatha from the group M2Me a couple of weeks ago when because I'm on the road off and on with Najee. And that was one of the things we discussed were there's a lot of people that could sing, but a lot of people don't really know how to blend and do harmony. So I've had just all the wonderful opportunities that shaped and molded me to become the independent artist that I am today.
I know you've been around some folks, because you just dropping all these names just so casually, like all these legends. I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
but I can tell you truly blessed because you dropped about 15 names in like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? That most people just only dream they can meet.
Yeah.
But so that goes to my next question because you know that saying the worst thing you can do sometimes is meet your idol. So kind of explain the person that you met or people that you met that they was exactly who you thought they were, and then the person you met or people you met they was opposite. You don't got to go into the negative part, but just the people that you would say, okay, in my mind before I met them, they're exactly who I thought they would be, maybe personality wise or whatever. And then somebody might, they was a little bit different what I thought, whether it's more good than bad, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
So many who know me know that one of my idols is Tina Marie. I grew up listening to Tina Marie and singing every record that she had. I always make her songs part of my live show. And I met her for the first time on the red carpet at a couple of award shows. But my biggest opportunity was I did a show called R&B Live Hollywood that was weekly. And the host was Chris Spencer. And him and I were always fighting because there were times I didn't want to sing. I just wanted to hang out and watch. He would bring me on stage even when I wasn't really in the mood. But this one particular night, they asked me to sing some Tina Marie records. And she walked in and walked by me and sat at the table next to me. So I said to the promoters, I can't sing Tina Marie. She just walked in the building. They said, yeah, we knew that it's a surprise. We want you to do a dedication to her. So when I started to sing Out on a Limb, by the time I got to the end of the first verse, she stood up and she walked towards the stage. And I was like, oh my God, she's getting ready to come up on stage with me. But the timing was perfect because by the time I got to the second verse, I said, ladies and gentlemen, Tina Marie. And I passed the mic to her. So God rest her soul, rest in peace, Tina Marie. I was so blessed to be able to be on stage with my idol, and I have that. It's on YouTube as well. And I ended up running into her maybe 2 or 3 times in that cycle when we were able to meet and perform together. So that would be my number one most exciting meeting my idol. I won't say any names like you said, but one of the most shocking things that happened to me was I met a gospel legend. And you think when you hear the word gospel and spiritual that they're going to be loving, sweet, kind, respectful. And I have to tell you, they were one of the most arrogant people that I did not like at all. I saw some things I couldn't believe and heard some things I couldn't believe. And it just made me look at music differently because it made you realize that they're people too. And just because they're celebrities and they sing and they have, all these accolades, doesn't mean that they're necessarily always nice people.
Okay. Well, you ain't got to say who they are, but just give us was it male or female?
It was male.
Okay. Because if you said female, I had one person in mind, but I ain't gonna say who I'm thinking. Because I've heard it's a female gospel artist that me and Jacob know who I'm talking about. I've heard a lot of negative stuff about her. You know what I mean? And she's super legend. But male, I've heard a couple of things about some folks, but female, definitely, I've heard a few things about this one. So I know exactly what you mean when we talk about the people in the gospel world, and even down to them parties. Don't get it twisted now. They got some of them get it type parties too now going on. You know what I'm saying? So don't think it's just the R&B and the rap dudes doing it. Go okay. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, so what was the one like big event concert that you did that you said, oh my God, I finally made it? Like, what was that one moment you like, I can't believe I'm here right now?
I don't think I've really gotten to the point where I finally made it because everything I've done has really been, in my opinion, kind of behind the radar, which is probably a good thing. But the biggest crowd, I mean, obviously work with New Kids on the Block. They were big since the Beatles. That was huge. But the experience that Najee afforded me going to South Africa to perform for Nelson Mandela, I met Jermaine Jackson. I have photos with everyone. That by far was probably the biggest audience I had ever seen. I mean, they had the big television prompters. People were standing out on their feet all day long to hear Stevie Wonder. And I just remember when I walked out on the stage saying to myself, I wish my family and my friends could see me now. This is absolutely incredible. But that was probably one of my most amazing experiences.
Oh, okay. I got two questions before I get back to Jacob. One, is Chris Spencer the comedian, or there's a different?
Yeah, the
Okay,
comedian.
that's the one I think they used to write on Jamie Foxx show, I believe, and did some episodes on there.
He writes a lot for a lot of the comedians. Great guy. He writes a lot for them.
Okay, and then one other thing before I get back to Jacob, because everybody that always meets Stevie Wonder, I don't know if you actually talked to him or met him, always have these I think he can see type stories. So do you have one of those like Shaq had met him in the elevator and said he actually said, "What's up, big? What's up, Shaq?" and hit the button or like what the floor he wanted to go on. And then somebody else, it was like always these kind of weird stories with Stevie Wonder. Like if he can't see, then something ain't right because he do this stuff that you believe he can actually see.
I've heard those stories as well, but I did not experience that. You know, maybe because of where I was or moving around backstage, but I certainly haven't experienced that. I don't know.
Okay, go ahead, Jacob.
So this is the disclaimer, Uncle Stevie. I don't got nothing to do with what they talking about, man. You know,
Whatever. I'm trying to do we about to do
look,
this, Jacob.
look, Uncle Stevie. They be going around talking about you, man. But I know, man.
Ain't
In my
nobody talking about
childhood,
that, man.
hey, listen, man. In my childhood, Uncle Stevie, you helped me get to people that I wanted to get to. So, Uncle Stevie, me and you cool.
Well, when he helped you get the people, did he see? Could he see when he helped you get there? Then,
man,
since you want to
go
act
ahead,
like
man. Go ahead, man. Go ahead, man. Hey, we not about to do this for Uncle Steve. Uncle Steve, you to go. We gonna do that. You
that?
know.
Oh Lord.
But anyway, so the whole Massachusetts scene, it's been some very, very legendary people come out of there. You know, and it's been some legendary people in mass that didn't make it globally, but around that New England metropolitan area, they're really huge. So, who are some of those people that you worked with, you know, that just didn't get there, but they just are phenomenal musicians?
I mean, there's so many. I mean, unfortunately, Boston, which is more of a sports town and a college town, and you know the hospitals and higher education, they don't really support the music and the arts here like I feel they should, because so many people come here to go to Berklee College of Music or the Conservatory of Music. New Kids on the Block and New Edition are by far the biggest to come out of Boston, other than some of the rock groups. Aerosmith, I think the Cars are from here. There's a lot of rock groups that come from here. There's not really a lot of opportunity. I mean, the radio wasn't very supportive, in my opinion, for a lot of independent artists that they could have helped. We probably would have had a lot more success had we had the kind of support that Atlanta gives local artists and New York does and Los Angeles does. Donna Summers was probably the biggest Black female to ever come out of Boston. We haven't had anyone big since her. But we had Classic Example, Chris and Connie. I mean, there's a lot of talent here. It's just that we have never been really afforded those kind of opportunities to go national. And it's sad because a lot of people, like I said, come here to hone their skills at the college. But there's a lot of massive talent here. Rappers, singers, producers, all of that here.
Okay. And so for you, with you being a vocalist, songwriter, you know, a vocal arranger, um, what is your thoughts on, you know, how it switched from the analog era to the digital era? And what are the highs and lows for you as an artist?
Um, I think because I come from the era of you better know how to sing, in my opinion, I understand, you know, that music changes and sounds change and all that. You have to be able to change with the times. I'm all for enhancement as long as it's not cheating and it doesn't make you sound completely the opposite of what you really sound like performing live, because there are a lot of people that can record records but can't sing live. So that kind of answers that. But again, I'm all for a little bit of enhancement to give it a different sound, as long as it's not um, fake.
Okay, great. So you know when it comes to being in the studio with Krayzie Bone,
Mhm.
how was that chemistry for you? Like how did you and him match so well?
It's so crazy. Like, I don't know, we just have great music chemistry. Um, it had gotten to the point I understood what he was looking for whenever he was looking for certain sounds or harmonies. I really studied Bone Thugs and Harmony because they were really the first rap group that I gravitated to because they sang and they rapped. A lot of people don't know this, but they had a record called See Me Shine with Life Jennings. I was also on there. There's a version you can go on YouTube. It's See Me Shine by Bone Thugs and Harmony featuring Phaedra Butler and Life Jennings. I also came up with the idea and concept of an Easy E tribute that I wrote the hook to, and they cut that, as well as some music that has been cut that has not come out. But I say that to say that Krayzie Bone had called me when he worked on his first one of his solo projects called Chasing the Devil. He just said, "Sis, I need you to do the Bone thing." And I knew exactly what he meant because I've studied their sound so well. So I just go in the studio with the creative process of Bone in mind, and I kind of know what they're looking for. We just have a great music chemistry in terms of understanding of vocals meets rap. And so much so that when I was working on my body of work called Heart of a Woman, I have this song called Queen, which is one hasn't been released yet. But Feelings that's out now is on the same vein as the record Queen that has not been released. And he always says to me, I know if you make a call, I know what that means. It must be a smash. So I only call him to be on records that I feel like he would appreciate and that I know his sound would be amazing on.
Okay, cool. So for you, you've been around this industry for quite a while now, and so what is the all-time collaboration that you would want to do that you haven't done yet?
Um, One of them, I don't know if people know this, but during COVID, I never thought I would write Christmas music, but I was bored at the time. And I ended up writing an amazing Christmas album called Love at Christmas. And Teddy Riley heard it. And I got to speak with him, and he said, "Listen, there's two songs on there you did that I would love to touch and do the Teddy Riley thing." I said, "Absolutely. I would love to do a project with Teddy Riley." That's one. I've always wanted to cut a record with New Edition just because I did it with New Kids on the Block. I'm from Boston. Their demographic and audience is my audience as well. I always wanted to do something with them. But in terms of working with other people, I mean, I would love to do a duet with October London or Maxwell. Um, there's a couple of phenomenal artists that I like and I think would be a great fit for me, even to go on the road and open for. So we'll see. And one of the biggest things people don't know, I grew up listening to Phyllis Hyman. I've always wanted to play her life story.
And actually, you actually could.
Thank you.
You definitely actually could. Now your song with 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 Crazy Bone, you
Hmm.
know,
Hmm.
you know, you said you've been catching flights. You know, let's kind of talk about the flights you be catching and like how did you orchestrate that whole because the song is a whole vibe. You know what I mean? You know,
Hmm.
feelings is a whole vibe. You know, it's soulful. You know, is eccentric and you know it's got a bop to it you can bop your head to. So from the standpoint of writing that that song, um, what was the emotion behind it and what was that creative process?
So I worked with a producer that's been a longtime friend of mine. His name is American Antagonist. We did some records together from when I had a song on the What Now, Kevin Hart soundtrack, a song called Love O'Clock, and another song called Heart of a Woman in the movie Traffic. Um, he's always constantly playing tracks for me. And when I heard the track, first and foremost, I knew it was a special track because sonically and production wise, I knew that it would cover R&B. I felt like adult contemporary. It even played on a couple of jazz stations, believe it or not. But you hit the nail on the head when you said it's a vibe. I really was, how it started was I was getting impatient because I wanted a body of work that I have sitting right now within a production company I worked with, waiting for it to come out, that I got frustrated. And I said, you know what, I'm just going to put out a record, that has a vibe and just see what happens. And so when he played me the track, I had just gotten out of a relationship that was very, very long. It was a very difficult situation that I had to walk away from. And during that time, going through therapy and just all the things that it emotionally put me through, I happened to reconnect with an ex-boyfriend from way back in the day, who we just were just having friendly conversation and talking about the past and, what's going on. And, I just really wasn't happy. I wasn't in a good place. And he shared some things with me and we just reconnected. And I was very unsure about taking that step, or even considering that. And so I wrote that song based off of a past relationship that kind of brought back feelings. And that's really what happened. It's just a true story in terms of what was going on in my life at the time.
Okay, just life in a true story and just real life of you walking through this journey. Okay,
Mhm.
that's great. And so for you, you spoke about placements and music licensing and so let's kind of touch base on, then I'll kind of pass you about how important music placements is just for an artist, period, but especially for indie artists when they're trying to get their name out there, you know, um, and when they're trying to brand themselves in the music industry and in the film industry. How important is that music licensing in those placements?
It's very important. It's a big avenue, a big lane, because at one point the industry was geared more towards hip hop, and they weren't really signing real R&B acts, or at least mature R&B acts, which is why we have to always listen to a bunch of old school, because all the um, all the people who were in charge, the gatekeepers, really just couldn't see that there's a market for the adult, but they're just not putting out new adult projects for us to gravitate to. We spend the money, and it's a big market. That's why people like Kem and other artists in that lane do very, very well. So when it was tough for me to be signed as a solo act, I took advantage of getting placements in movie soundtracks. Thank goodness for someone like a Jeff Flanagan at Code Black Entertainment. But if you remember back in the day, a lot of acts when I was younger were broken on Boomerang soundtrack. All these big movie soundtracks back in the day really broke a lot of careers. So that avenue is always open if you have those kind of relationships. And I just happen to be blessed and fortunate enough to be around someone who had that kind of control to be able to put me on a soundtrack.
Okay. I'll coming back to you, man.
So I'm gonna say this, and Jacob knows this. The greatest group of all time is New Edition. It's not even close to me. You know what I'm saying? It's the greatest R&B group of all time. Hence, that's why when they go on tour, the concerts sell out in probably the first week. And that's the one concert I could go to, and pretty much it'd be over with for me. I go to a New Edition concert and I'll be good. You know what I'm saying? Or whatever. But getting back to, and I would say this, just listening to you talk, of course, we know it's other artists out there probably have bigger careers, but the people you work with, the iconic projects you worked on, you probably just as blessed or more blessed than a lot of people. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because the fact that you work with all these amazing people, done all these amazing projects, but you had to have to deal with some of the other stuff as far as the you could probably walk in the grocery store. You go to a movie theater. You could go in the mall and shop and don't have to worry about people harassing you and TMZ running up on you. And you still been able to work in the industry that you love and do things that you love, you know what I'm saying, without having to deal with all the other stuff that go along with it.
That's
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, very
Go
true.
ahead now. Yeah. So so getting to this, when you talk when Jacob was talking about something with the licensing and stuff, and the one thing we tell singers and artists all the time, especially in this new generation, don't think that selling records is going away. That's the lie that they tell the urban market. But if you go into the country and the rock and roll and all that, they still selling records. They try to lie to us so they can keep all our money. But it's still record stores out there that still sells CDs and vinyl, and you can still make money. You can set up your own situation with these record stores. You don't need a record label for that. You know what I'm saying? That's just to give people a little piece of advice when it comes to that. So, so just understanding. So in Hollywood, I know you said that pretty much after you left the politic world, you went out to basically Los Angeles, Hollywood. What was that experience or like, especially a girl coming from all the way from Boston, Massachusetts area, going into the bright lights of Hollywood? What was that initial experience like?
Very shocking, but I was fortunate to be grounded because, and this is when I knew it was the perfect opportunity for me to go because, you know, I had Willie McGinnis and then I had his partner who's from Boston. I felt like it was the right time for me because at least I had gentlemen in my corner that were going to look out for me because I knew how dangerous Hollywood could probably be too. So it was kind of a protection for me in terms of all the places and spaces that I was able to hang out in, the who's who. It was very important to have that solid team so that there was a level of respect there even to approach me. So I was smart enough to know that the timing was perfect for me to go and experience that. And like I said, when I performed at R&B Live Hollywood, the craziest feeling was to be on stage. And when you look out in the audience is nothing but everyone you see on TV, whether it's Eddie Murphy, all the singers that I looked up to, all the producers, actors, comedians, they were the audience with some of the general public, but it was celebrities in the entire audience. So that took some getting used to. Even going to the grocery store, I would bump into celebrities late at night in Beverly Hills. But I mean, that's where they live. That's where a lot of people go to try to make it. So, I mean, it had its ups and it had its downs. And I just knew when it was time for me to leave. And I don't regret the time that I spent there because I made some wonderful relationships living there.
So we always talk about the difference between music from the analog to the digital era and social media versus, just having to sell records grassroots. So I'm not even going to go and talk about that part of it. What I want to know is when it comes to dealing with the people from back then and dealing with people in the music world or entertainment world now, just because we got like a younger generation and all those things. What's the biggest difference from back then when you first started to trying to navigate through people now?
It's weird because back then there was this big mystique about who, a superstar. It was people you couldn't get to. They were untouchable. Nowadays, everybody, which it does give a lot more opportunities to people, they call it the do-it-yourself era. Yeah, you can do it yourself. In some areas, it's easier. In some areas, it's hard because it's a blizzard of brands. Everyone's trying to find their niche to fit in to build a fan base. And even though people hit like or follow, sometimes people just are doing that to be nosy. You don't know if they're really engaging with you as a true fan, but they're trying to get to know you. It just was a different era. I think when I was younger, that it just felt different. It was a lot lighter. It was an exciting time. Now, to me, it's like when I meet people, it's like, oh, you sing? Oh, okay. It's like a job. It doesn't have that spark to it like it did when I was a kid. There's no fireworks, so to say. It's just like, oh, okay, we all sing. I'm doing okay. You're doing great. He's doing mediocre. Like, it's just different.
Okay, so I got one last question before I send it back to Jacob, and we we let you go. Of course, we know that drug use in this industry has been one of the commonplaces forever. So back when you were around, and it seemed like now that it consumes people more than it did back then, because a lot of time your favorite artists, you didn't even find out they had a drug problem till after their career was over with, or years later when they wrote a book or something, or was in a movie. So what did you see the difference between the consumption of, or how the drug usage has affected the industry now than it was back then?
You're right. It was very hard to tell back then if people were doing drugs. Now, some people think it's the cool thing to do, which it's really not. I have been fortunate enough. I had no interest in doing drugs, and if someone has been doing drugs around me, I really couldn't see. Of course, I've been around people who smoke weed. That's sometimes, for some people, that's a creative process and their choice in being creative. But with social media out of control a lot to me, smoking mirrors and, just people doing it for the wrong reasons, to be famous more than about the real passion of wanting to do music. There's a lot of pressure. It's not real. People put on this facade, and to keep up with keeping up with the Joneses, as they say, people just fall into that world of drugs. They just get caught up. And unfortunately, we're in that era where there's so much going on with people. The ADD, I call it. People stay on pages for like a few seconds and they're on to the next. And people just do things to try to catch your attention, to even stay on someone's page long enough. But it's an unfortunate situation. And like you said, I can get into that about, record companies owning prisons and how our music is geared towards, some of the drama that takes place in our culture. That's a whole nother story for another interview. But it's unfortunate. It is unfortunate. It does happen. And for me, I've been blessed enough to not have to experience that or really be around that. I choose not to be around that.
Okay. Well, before I shoot it back to Jacob, so we can close it out, I'm gonna say, rest in peace, young man, football player Rondell Moore, who allegedly took his own life this past couple of days ago, only 25 years old. So one thing we do have to always speak on is mental health, especially with our young people, because it's at an all-time high. And one thing I know that you know this, Ms. Butler, is that money does not guarantee happiness. Absolutely. At all. Nope. So Jacob, you got any more questions before we let this queen go?
Well, Ms. Butler, I just want to know what can we expect from you for the remainder of 2026, and when is your book coming out, and when is the TV series coming out?
I'm speaking now to a gentleman about management. He's wonderful, Mr. Maynard, and that we have a lot of ideas and things on the horizon. I'm going to continue to release singles and hopefully my body of work, my whole project called Heart of a Woman. But I really want to create enough music that when I travel and tour, God willing, that people will be able to come out and experience me live, because that's really where I shine, and that I love the most is live performances. So I'm just hoping to build fans in different places and spaces that I've never been before, that can appreciate what I do. At the end of the day, I think there's room for everyone, and there's a demographic and a market for what it is that I do. And for those who appreciate that, I appreciate them.
All right. Ikon.
Well, before we get out here, everybody, if they inquire for an interview, hit us up at 95 South podcast at gmail.com. So before we let this queen go, I just want to say that, you know, just hearing your story, seeing how blessed you are, or what have been over these past 30 plus whatever years it's been. You're definitely a legend and an icon in this game. As far as just, I'm glad we've here the interview to give you your flowers, because you definitely deserve it, or whatever. And you know, I just know, and then for you to still be like this humble, because a lot of people, they're in this business, and me and Jacob meet people all the time that've been around for a long time, and they lost all the humbleness if they ever had it. And for you to still be humble after all the people that you've touched, the greats of the greatest of the greats, and been around these people, and so you know what it is to keep going. And I just commend you that you never given up on your dreams and your goals that you aspire to have. So I just want to, yeah.
Greatly
So
appreciate it. That means a lot. And thank you guys for having me on this platform. That means a lot. And yes, I just keep God first. I think humility is so important, because I've met a lot of people that aren't humble, but I think that's what's carried me this far. And, you know, just thank you guys so much. And for those of you who have not heard of me, you know, if I could say, please follow me on Instagram on The Real Phaedra. I'm on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Phaedra Live. And please go to YouTube, like and subscribe, Phaedra Butler.
Yes, thank you. God bless you. And anything we can do to help you out, just reach out to us and we'll do whatever we can to help you.
Thank you so much.
All right. You have a blessed week.
You too. Bye-bye.
Peace and blessings.
Brown skin girl, and she knew I was out to go and clear my mind.